welcome to SVG TV's news for Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. Opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday claims that the government is not following proper financial procedures and the law as required in managing the finances of the country. In his response to the 2023 budget presentation, Dr. Friday spoke of the management of the overdraft facility that is approved by Parliament. He pointed out that there is a $50 million limit, but over the years, the government has gone way over this limit.
That comes to Parliament at the end of the debate of the estimates, and it's voted upon. You said they set the limit, this, and you can borrow this to address liquidity problems. I think that's the term it uses in the actual document. In the year, so it's to meet short-term liquidity problems of the government in a financial year, a budget year. When the expected money that you voted already comes in, it is supposed to go back, to put it back, to pay back the money that you use from the overdraft. Not to then use that as well, and then the overdraft now becomes a continuing loan that was not approved by Parliament. So that by the end of the year, the overdraft should be down and should be close to zero, if not there. Because the money hopefully would have come in. That you use it to cover off a shortfall. When it comes, you put it back and so forth, and you don't go on paying those high interest rates of whatever the government pays, 10 and 11%, or possibly more. That is what the law requires. That is what the resolution that we passed in this Honourable House requires.
The opposition leader said the wasteful practice of having a consistently high overdraft adds to the country's debt servicing, which he said is already too high.
Now we have a situation where $37 or 37 cents out of every dollar goes to pay for the debt that we have accumulated. And the debt now, I believe, is the debt service, what we pay annually this year, is $282 million, but $283 million, or 37% of the current revenue. And this is up, just 12 years ago. It was 25 cents out of every dollar that was used to service the debt. Now it's gone up to 37 cents, and I think at one time it was as high as 41 cents. And what that means, Madam Speaker, if you are collecting money in taxes and non-tax revenue, that's more than a third of it has gone before you even collected it. And then you have to pay salaries and light bills and so forth. And then you have very little left in order to invest or to put towards investment in capital projects, or to expand in the services that people expect from government. Like, for example, putting medicines in the hospital and fixing the potholes around Kingstown. And so that people don't come and blame the member for Central Kingstown for a pothole in Heritage Square when the government is at fault.
Thanking the Ministry of Finance for finding the necessary resources to meet the needs of the Vincentian public for yet another year, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Transport and Works Montgomery Daniel noted that times are challenging with the world economy in turmoil, but his government continues to deliver, and that with an understanding of the country's historical path and challenges ahead, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is on a path of fresh hope.
And I've sat in this government for the last 22 years. And understanding our historical path, I can proudly say, this government has delivered to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're on the path where we're having new industries, more hotels, more jobs, better standard of living. We're on the path for a better economy, a better St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
In reference to the Ministry of Transport and Works, Minister Daniel says for 2023, they will seek to develop and maintain the national physical infrastructure, re-regulate the land transportation system, manage the sustainable use of land through an integrated approach through physical planning and prudent land management. He says there are 5 units in the ministry responsible for carrying out these tasks.
Under the Policy Planning and Administration Unit this year, 2023, the ministry will continue its training program for school bus drivers in defense training techniques. Madam Speaker, the ministry considers this activity a very important one, since on a daily basis, the nation's children have to be transported all across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And so the ministry will continue in this training to ensure that our drivers, their techniques are improved. Equally, this year, the Ministry of Transport and Works will continue to work with the Ministry of Education to identify its transportation needs for all school children. Last year, the transportation needs were strengthened tremendously to the extent that we now have children traveling from Fancy to Kingstown on a daily basis, where children can now go to school, whether it's grammar school, Thomas Sandals, Girls High, wherever. Similarly, the transportation system in North Leeward has been strengthened markedly. Other areas that would have been strengthened, Madam Speaker, is Parkhill and South Rivers to Kingstown, Mongrenan and Sanssouci to surrounding areas like Adelphi, and other areas like Lomans Bay to Kingstown. Madam Speaker, we would have strengthened this area very much last year because the Ministry of Transport and Works received 2 school buses from the Indonesian government to assist in this process, and I really want to thank the Indonesian government for this welcoming gift.
Minister Daniel says this year also the Ministry of Transport and Works will continue to work along with the police to ensure better services are delivered to the traveling public. Describing the Physical Planning Department as the eyes and ears of the physical infrastructure, a redevelopment in the country with a role to ensure orderly development within the framework of the law, the Deputy Prime Minister says this year there has to be a serious revision of the Town and Country Planning Act for the physical infrastructural development in the country.
Madam Speaker, we continue to see severe damage to infrastructure in this country. When it rains, we see back walls tumbling down. When there is the slightest of winds, we see what happens to houses. We see what happens to water within the drains that would take the runoff water downstream. Madam Speaker, I listened equally from the opposition leader, where in his own constituency, there are walls falling down that was built a few years ago without steel, of course, and this is what it is. So that we have to strengthen the Town and Country Planning Act to the extent that we can bring better bearing to the work of the Physical Planning Department. Some work was done on the Town and Country Planning Act and was submitted to the Attorney General Chambers in 2019. It was done for review, but since that period, Madam Speaker, there has been new and higher levels of development that are now taking place in this country. More larger hotels, other types of developments. And so we need to continue the revision of this act.
In his contribution to the budget debate, Member of Parliament for South Leeward, Nigel Stevenson, describes Budget 2023 as a continuation of many previous volumes, with a recurring decimal being brought forward from year to year. Stevenson told Parliament that Budget 2023 offers little hope for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, particularly the youth.
Madam Speaker, if we on this side of the Honourable House were presenting this budget, I mean, the budget is many things to many people. And to the government side, it is a budget of roads to begin with. And I notice that there are 3 R's: roads, recovery, resilience. But if we were presenting this budget, these are the R's that we would use. because we are living in a country where people are depressed. People are fast losing hope. We would have crafted a budget, and the hours that we would have used would be restore, renew, and refresh. People of St. Vincent and the Grenadines need hope to be restored. This budget is in no way, shape, or form offering hope to those persons, the many young people who are there looking for jobs. Year after year, they have been writing applications, and while some jobs are being created, it is very painful, painfully inadequate, because young people would have spent so much time in school, different standards, and now see an opportunity, having seen their parents sacrifice so much, an opportunity for them now to work and earn and look after themselves and their families. Madam Speaker, this budget does not offer hope that for the many people who have left school, colleges and universities, that they are likely to get a job in 2023.
The opposition MP also labeled the budget as one of empty promises.
Families, Madam Speaker, young families who are looking for affordable housing, this budget, Madam Speaker, and housing is something that I will revisit, does not offer hope to those persons that they would be able to find a place of rest for their family at an affordable cost. Madam Speaker, for those persons who may have a job, those households who are struggling to pay their mortgages, to pay rents, to buy food for their family, to pay their utilities, and the painful thing, Madam Speaker, is that a lot of them have to be juggling and choosing between sometimes paying the bill and buying food. That is a very precarious position to find yourself in, Madam Speaker. Nobody wants that. But that is what our people, unfortunately, have had to endure over the years under this Unity Labour Party administration. This budget does not offer hope to those persons. Madam Speaker, to the policemen and women, the nurses, the teachers, other public servants, and even people in the private sector who would have followed the lead of this government by putting people, making them choose a very difficult position to be in. It's almost like between the devil and the deep blue sea, choosing between whether you eat or take a vaccine. Those persons who are at home now, Madam Speaker, because of the heartlessness of this government, this budget does not offer hope to them.
Farmers across St. Vincent and the Grenadines are being encouraged to take seriously the process of diversification, which the government will be advancing this year. This from Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation on Industry and Labour, Subota Caesar, during his contribution to the 2023 budget debate in Parliament last evening.
Budget 2023 does for us is that it allows for the impetus to be given so that the Ministry of Agriculture can work in ensuring that we form our producer groups, because with small land sizes and further subdivisions of these, and having a diversification platform, if you do not bring the farmers together in producer groups, you will not be able to get the critical mass. And all of this is planned, well structured, and conceived.
Minister Caesar said farmers will also see the implementation of the World Bank projects this year and receive further support for production, including fertilizers from Morocco.
Sacks of fertilizer will be distributed from Morocco in the first quarter, and 10,000 sacks by the end of the year. And I want to thank the people, the government and people of Morocco for their assistance. And this morning, I received a call that that team is meeting the ministry tomorrow here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the remaining 15,000 sacks of urea will be distributed before the end of 2023.
The Agriculture Minister said 2023 will also see the rollout of a very important marketing innovation.
And over the last 2 days at the ministry, we compiled a list of commodities. We assessed the production costs for these commodities, taking into consideration the increased costs in fertilizer. And we recognized that there was a significant problem in that some of our traders, commonly referred to as traffickers, are not able to negotiate proper prices in the marketplace. And many farmers are paid below the cost of production. That must end in 2023. You can't have a sack of dasheen with 100 pounds in it, and the cost of production is $1 per pound, and somebody wanting to buy it from you for $40 a sack.
And a Moroccan delegation headed by diplomatic advisor at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, African Cooperation and Moroccan expatriates, along with 3 high-level officials from the Office of the Vocational Training and Promotion of Employment, is currently in the state on a 4-day visit, which will end on Friday, January 13th, 2022. During the visit, the delegation is expected to conduct a series of meetings with high-level officials of the government of SVG, including Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Salves, Minister of Foreign Affairs Kisal Peters, Minister of Finance Camilla Gonsalves, and Minister of Agriculture Sobotu Caesar, as well as other high-level officials from across the public service. The meetings are expected to identify areas of vocational training to be included in the new roadmap of cooperation that will be signed between the governments of the Kingdom of Morocco and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The new roadmap is expected to contribute to strengthening bilateral cooperation between the 2 countries. Continuing now with more local news. Another batch of Vincentians have been winged off to Turks and Caicos by Sandals as employees with the company. The new employees are excited for the opportunity and look forward to their return to work at Sandals Resort in Bucament. We hear more in this report.
The batch of 38 new employees will be trained over the next 9 months in Turks and Caicos Sandals beaches. Today at the Argyle International Airport, Sandals held a press briefing and to send off the new recruits on a chartered flight. Managing Director of Sandals Resorts International, Winston Anderson, addressed the workers virtually, told them that much is expected of them.
I want to encourage you, as I know you will, to continue to fly your flag very, very high. Those who have set on this journey before you have really set a very high bar. Both in Turks and Caicos, we're excited to have you there. The team can't wait for you to arrive this evening. And your other colleagues in the other island have really continued to set a very high bar. And I have no doubt, having been part of the interview process, that you will also continue to do well.
The new recruits joined the 40 Vincentians in Turks and Caicos who were hired almost 1 year ago, bringing the total of Vincentians employed with Sandals to close to 200. Minister of Tourism Carlos James, who also addressed the workers, thanked Sandals for the opportunity provided as the target of employing 500 Vincentians inches closer.
So this wonderful initiative It is going to impact on the many families. There are 38 of you here now, but of the 500 of you who are being trained, that's 500 families across St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be impacted adversely in a very positive way by your training and your employment.
According to Administrative Executive Assistant Joseph Pemberton, the new employees have signed a contract with Sandals for 1 year, after which it can always be renewed.
Although they're training, they will be paid as a full staff member of Sandals, so they are working. Officially, when they leave and they get to the Turks and Caicos, they are employees of, well, Beaches or Sandals Resort International. They are training, yes, and will be coming back, but of course, the few who will not want to, but this basically is training for them, so they'll return when the hotel opens here in St. Vincent to work with Sandals, so they'll be fully sandalized.
SVG TV spoke with two of the recruits who are elated to join the Sandals team.
I have been a cook from I've known myself as a child, and having the opportunity to now go and enhance it and develop my country in the further long run is a great opportunity for me.
My family is very encouraging towards it because they did help me pursue the goal to become a culinary artist. I really do feel that because it is something that I am passionate about, I would be able to put my best foot forward and gain the experience and the knowledge.
Larissa Pugsley Kid.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines has benefited significantly from serving as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council and is now seeking to secure leadership position of the Community of States of Latin America and the Caribbean, CELAC. On January 1st, 2020, St. Vincent and the Grenadines took up its seat as a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council for a 2-year term, having created history by becoming the smallest nation to be elected to the governing body on November 1st, 2020. The country repeated history by becoming the smallest nation to chair the council for a 1-month period. On radio last Sunday, Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Saab says too often people are focused on the price of things and not the value, noting that while SVG did not go to the Security Council for any transactional arrangements to see what it will get, the island has benefited significantly from being on the UN Security Council. SVG will, on January 24th in Argentina, attempt to take over the presidency of CELAC, which Prime Minister Gonçalves said will be an added boost to the island profile. Still on the local scene, a 2-day school leadership workshop funded by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the World Bank under the Human Delivery Services Development Project opens here today at the Beachcombers Hotel. The International School Leadership Workshop aims to re-examine roles as leaders reflect on practices, discuss how leaders can build a collaborative culture to meet the needs of the 21st century learners and to strengthen school leaders, which would enable principals to lead effectively and to discuss the importance of using data to make informed decisions on the directions school leaders should take. Addressing the opening ceremony of the workshop, Chief Education Officer K. Martin Jack said the Ministry of Education continues to find ways to make education more meaningful, and this initiative is one of doing so.
Especially true for those who are engaged in the teaching and learning exercise, as well as school and system leaders who must act as instructional leaders in this ever-evolving educational system. We're talking transformation. It is imperative, therefore, that we make use of these training opportunities offered through the World Bank Group in conjunction with the International School Leadership and its mission to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Since the ISL leadership began working with the Ministry of Education in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, several educational stakeholders have benefited from their experience and knowledge base. The team has not only provided sound training courses by system leaders, mainly the senior education officers, principals, middle management leaders, and teacher leaders, but also worked to establish a mentorship program among school leaders.
Martin Jack thanks the International School Leadership Mission team for their contribution to school leaders in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Can't prevent all the challenges students will face, but we can help to alleviate them by designing a learning environment that leaves no room for failure. Her sentiments are shared by the leadership of the Ministry of Education and indeed all of us at the Ministry of Education. As such, we have already 83 persons who graduated from the leadership program, 28 system leaders who excelled at the 2-year training session, and the many others who benefited directly and indirectly from the contributions of the ISL mission team. I would like to thank the ISL team for their efforts.
The Chief Education Officer further commended local educators and school leaders who took the opportunity to further develop their skills and to become more positive leaders.
Simultaneously, I would like to encourage and positively highlight the efforts of our local educators and the school leaders who dispose themselves to opportunities for new learning and exciting ways of doing things. It is this attitude of openness that would help us to realize the transformation of the education sector here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Your commitment to advancing the state of education in our nation is admirable and augurs well with the ministry's trust of ensuring that the best quality education is offered to all students who utilize the system. This disposition of wanting to make use of professional development sessions to improve our craft should become an approach taken by every educator.
Calypso King 2022 Maxwell Tajo Francis said that this year he plans to assist more of the nation's youth to become better Calypsonians. Francis was speaking to SVG TV News at the prize-giving ceremony for Vinci Mas 2022.
So what are your plans going forward in this year?
Well, I've already started writing. I'll be working with a number of youths as well. I do work along with a number of artists during the carnival season. I work along with the shows committee as well in one of the in North Windward in terms of their carnival activities, the carnival committee. So I'm here if anybody needs me. I'm here willing to offer any assistance in any area as long as it has anything to do with the culture of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. People can also expect this year our National Heroes Festival will return to Fancy on March 14th this year. So I just want to reiterate that.
While acknowledging that the prize distribution for Vinci Mas 2022 took longer than expected, Francis nevertheless said he is grateful.
Well, I'm excited. I'm happy that the CDC have finally been able to do their presentation. I've been involved in Carnival for quite a while. I mean, it's the longest that they have stayed before any presentation ceremony has been given. I mean, sometimes, you know, businesses have their up and down, and I have no problem with waiting.